Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my birth story. I do have a birth vlog up on my channel. I will link it, but I also wanted to just sit down and talk about my birth story. I wanted to talk about my birth story because in my birth video I didn't film a lot. It was mostly my husband talking, and then I wanted to talk about my experience while I was in labor and then afterwards. I'm gonna make a video about postpartum, but I wanted to talk about my birth before I get into all my postpartum stuff. So if you're interested in learning about my birth experience as a first-time mom with absolutely no idea what I was getting myself into, go ahead and keep watching the video. I think I'm just gonna be super honest with you guys and just tell you everything. When I was pregnant, I didn't want things to be sugar-coated. I wanted to know actually what was happening. So I'm gonna try to be as direct as I can with all of this information. So if you're not comfortable with birth stuff or that, probably don't watch this. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna say, but I'm just gonna be super straightforward with what I say. Okay, so I got induced for my labor. I was 39 weeks and 3 days. I got induced because my baby was measuring big, and as a reason to be induced, I went to a second level 2 ultrasound to find out just how big she was, and the level 2 was a maternal fetal medicine suggested I got induced early. So I tried a lot to be induced, but nothing was happening. So I went in on Monday morning at 8 a.m. to be induced. When I went in, I checked in. They made me wait in the waiting room for a little bit, and then we went in. So it was me and my husband. This was before all of the quarantine and pandemic stuff. This was March 2nd, 2020, and when we first went in, they had me immediately change into a gown. I changed out of my clothes. I took off everything. I think I actually left a nursing bra on, but they said take everything off. So I immediately got into the gown. They hooked me up to the contraction monitor and the heartbeat, and they gave me, sorry, I'm bouncing because after you have a baby, you constantly are moving. So sorry if that's annoying. But so they hooked me up to that stuff, and they gave me an IV right away, and they talked to me about what was going to happen. So because when I went in, I was 1 centimeter dilated, 80% effaced. They said I was about 1.5 centimeters dilated. And they said basically, I knew this was going to happen. They asked me if I had a birth plan, and I did. I didn't want IV medication, IV pain medication. I wanted to just know what was going on, exactly when things were going to happen. I wanted everything to be explained to me. I wanted an epidural, and I can't even remember. I didn't really have much of a birth plan because I knew it was kind of a loose thing because it's up to the baby and how the labor's progressing. So I kind of didn't want Pitocin because I knew there were other options. So they placed Cytotec vaginally, and so that they put that in around 11, I want to say. So before that, I was just getting IV water, I guess, to hydrate me, but I wasn't getting any Pitocin or anything. So they placed the Cytotec, and they said, okay, we'll check you in 4 hours. So that would have been 3 that they were going to come check me. And so the Cytotec, I didn't notice any difference. I was up. I wasn't up. I sat down pretty much my entire labor, but I was having normal conversation with my parents and my husband until the very end. It was getting 2:30, I want to say, and I started to feel the contractions, and we could start seeing them on the little monitor thing, but they weren't super painful. They were uncomfortable, I would say, more just really tight Braxton Hicks or more intense period cramps. So that was what happened at the end of the side attack. They came in around 3 and checked me and said, okay, you're only 2 centimeters dilated, and I was a little disappointed, but they said, okay, now we're going to place a Foley bulb. And before they placed the Foley bulb, I had a bunch of doctors come in and talk to me, and I had the anesthesiologist come talk to me that was going to be doing my epidural, and he had said to me that a lot of women, when they get the Foley bulb, they immediately ask for the epidural. But he said to me, if you wait this out until after the Foley bulb, you're gonna get the most benefit from the epidural, because the pain is going to get progressively worse, and the epidural, you're just gonna think you're gonna feel it at the end, instead of you feel the intensity and then it goes away and you don't feel it at the end, if that makes sense. So I wanted to take his advice, because I was really relying on the epidural working as I was pushing, because I have a very, very low pain tolerance. So I got the Foley bulb, and I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, that was the most excruciating pain I've ever been in my entire life. When they so basically what it is, it's like a little balloon that they put inside of you, and they pump it full of water. They insert it behind your cervix, and they pump it full of water, and with each contraction it's like opening up your cervix a little bit more. But when they initially put it in and like pumped it up, it was the most intense pain I think I've ever been in. But I knew, because of what the anesthesiologist said, I wasn't going to get an epidural right away. So she pumped it up, she took it out, and I was just almost at my wit's end. I was like, I think I'm gonna have to tell them to take this out. Like, this is not okay. This does not feel normal. I am in so much pain. But I probably went about an hour and a half, 2 hours with the Foley bulb, and having the most intense contractions of my entire life. And what the contractions feel like, I can't even really explain it. It's just intense cramps, Braxton Hicks, but consistent. So it's like, it gets really, really bad, and then it kind of goes, but it doesn't like get all the way back to where you feel normal. It's really, really bad, and then you kind of get a break, and then it's really, really bad, and then you kind of get a break. So it's like period cramps, I guess. It's just like tightening and pain. And I was having back labor, so it was all in my back, and I was having my husband push on my back to kind of counteract the pressure, and that helped a little bit. But it was just, I was sitting there with my eyes closed each time it came. I had to try to breathe through it, but I just like tensed up, and my mom and Nick were watching it, waiting, and then they would tell me like when it was coming down. And up until this point, I said, I do not want narcotics. I don't like the way I get panic attacks, and I do not like the way it feels when I don't feel like I'm in control of my body, and that kind of stuff. Even taking like NyQuil makes me feel like weird. So I was like, I'm not doing like pain medicine. But it got to the point I was just telling Nick, I was like, I might have to, like, I just don't know if I can get through this and do this for however many more hours. So I was kind of going back and forth for a while, and he was just like, you should do it. It's gonna make you feel better. And it did get to the point where I was like, okay. So the nurse came in, and I said, okay, I know I said I didn't want this, but I would really like some pain medicine. And what they gave me was a mixture. I told them I didn't want like fentanyl or anything like that, and they said there was another option, which was Phenergan, which I have had Phenergan for hyperemesis, and it makes me really, really sleepy. And they said it can help with the pain if they mix it with Stadol, which I'm not exactly sure what Stadol is. Probably a narcotic. I've had Toradol before, but they mixed Stadol and Phenergan, gave it to me, and I swear as soon as it hit the IV and it was in my bloodstream, I was just like, whoa. Like, I immediately felt it. I felt super tired, super out of body, but not like scared, because normally with panic attack or like with my anxiety, I feel scared like immediately. This would intensify everything. But I was in so much pain that I was like, it's almost worth it to feel like this. I need to feel a little bit out of body because I'm in so much pain. So they gave me that, and immediately I'm like telling my mom, like, Mom, I don't like this. It feels so weird. And she's like, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. And I think because I've had the Phenergan before, I kind of was like, okay, I've had this before. I am okay. I'm not gonna have a reaction from this. So I kind of just like, I was trying to stay like normal throughout it, but I would say like 10 minutes in, I started to slur my words, and I was like trying, like focusing so hard, and I was like, I'm not going to slur my words. I am fine, and I'm gonna be fine. And so I was like trying to talk to my mom and like not sound like a drunk person, but I totally sounded drunk. And then I fell asleep. I was going in and out of sleep for a really, really long time. I was trying to stay awake the best I could because I just wanted to be in the moment, I guess, but it was like really, really hard. So I don't know how long I fell asleep, but this is all kind of like after I got the pain medicine until I got my epidural, it was a big blur, and I'm not really sure how long it was. I want to say about 2 hours. So I was like sleeping on and off for like 2 hours. It worked. The medicine worked. So if you are questioning if you should get it, I would say you're not going to really know until the moment, but try to, I'm honestly going to say try to stick it out as long as you can. I probably could have gone a little bit longer, but when I say that, I don't know because I was in so much pain. But try to stick it out as long as you can. But if you can't take it, get the medicine, because once I got the medicine, what happened was my body like completely relaxed. I was able to sleep. 2 hours later, they came and checked, and the Foley bowl, because I had been relaxed and sleeping and not feeling the contractions, which is the key part. I wasn't feeling anything at this point. I was feeling like a little pressure, but no pain really. So I was like sleeping through it. They came and checked me, and I was at I think I was at a 7. And they pulled the Foley bulb out because it's supposed to get you to like a 7. So it took about 2 hours, which they said normally it takes 4 to 5 hours, but because I was so relaxed, I think that's what helped. And they pulled the bulb out, and I said, okay, I would like my epidural now, because things are gonna get real. And I was really, really, really scared to get the epidural. I'm afraid of needles. I'm afraid of like medicine going into me and not knowing what the reaction is going to be. But because I had the pain medicine, I was still kind of in and out of sleep. So I think that helped a lot, because they came and set it up, and I was like falling asleep as they were like setting it up. And they had me like lean into this thing. I put my face into it, so I was like falling asleep as they were giving me the epidural, which was kind of amazing, to be honest. So I was really nervous still, but I was like so tired that I couldn't be freaking out. So that was really nice. So after when he's giving me the epidural, he gave me a shot first and then did the epidural. And I didn't feel anything but the initial shot, and the epidural worked amazingly. I was completely numb from my waist down, but I could still kind of move my legs. Like, it wasn't like I was paralyzed, which I was scared of because I like to have control of my body, as I said. It's just like an anxiety thing for me. So I was able to kind of move. I wasn't able to like walk or anything, but I was able to like wiggle my toes and like kind of move my legs, but they just felt like super heavy, like a dead leg, or I don't know, not even like your own body part. So it was really nice. I didn't feel anything, and I laid there, and after that epidural they checked me again, and I was already at an 8. My contractions were super consistent and really strong. So when I was at an 8, I don't know what time this was all happening, but they let me lay there for a little bit just to see how much I progressed. I laid there for probably an hour, just like in and out of sleep. It was like getting later in the day. It was probably like nighttime. We had woken up at like 5 a.m. So Nick was really tired. I was just like sitting on my phone, like in and out of sleep. And then she came and she gave me the peanut ball, which is like literally a peanut shaped blow up ball, and I put it in between my legs to help me progress. And then she flipped me, so it's like I was on one side, she flipped me to the other side to help the epidural like get everywhere. Once the peanut ball was in there, it was probably like an hour, and I was at a 9. So they took the peanut ball, I think they took the peanut ball away, I want to say. And then I kind of just waited, and no, I had the peanut ball, and she said, just let me know when you feel pressure. And I'm like, I have an epidural and I can't feel anything. So I was like just waiting. My mom kept asking me, do you feel anything? Do you feel anything? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe, I'm not sure. But they told me when you feel like you have to poop to call them in. So eventually I was like, okay, I think I feel like I need to poop, like I'm feeling pressure. And they said, okay, like, it's time to push. And they didn't even like really check. They just were like, oh, maybe they did check. I can't really remember if they checked to see if I was at a 10. I'm pretty sure they checked and I was at a 10, and they said, okay, it's time to start pushing. And in that moment I woke up, like the pain medicine was like completely gone, and I was like, okay, I'm scared. So it was just the nurse for a while. She said, okay, we're just gonna do some practice pushes. My dad left the room, and it was Nick on this side of me and my mom on this side of me, and they were holding my legs and they were telling me to push. I have a normally really fast heart rate, so throughout the initial pushing I was like really struggling because I felt like my heart was just like pounding out of my chest and I was gonna like die or something. So it was like she was having me push 10 seconds 3 times with each contraction, and I was just like, I can't do this, like this is way too much for me. So she said, okay, how about we push 5 seconds 4 times? And that was like super motivating because I was like, I can do that. That is something I can do. So I pushed with her for a while, basically just trying to learn like where to push, I guess, if that makes sense. Like I didn't know how to push, but it's like they told me to push like you have to poop, but kind of like in a different area, if that makes sense. So I kind of like knew where to go, and she was like stretching me as it went so that I wouldn't tear. So I pushed altogether for an hour and a half. So I probably pushed with her for an hour and 15, and then she called another nurse in, and the other nurse like really was I mean, I still had the epidural, but I could like feel she was like really getting in there, like stretching me and stuff, and they could already see her head at this point. They were like telling me that they could see her head. My mom was like gonna pass out because she just like can't take the smell of like the amniotic fluid or whatever it is. So she was yeah, anyway. So the whole time, like before I even gave birth, I was like, I'm not gonna let Nick look down there. Like he's gonna be up on my head. He is not looking down there. But like in the moment, I was just like, I don't freaking care. Like look down there, I don't care. So he did look, and yeah. So she was like really stretching me, and then I guess I did a really big push, and she was like, okay, like we're gonna call the doctor in and you're gonna have your baby. And I was just like, what, like this is happening? And so the doctor came in. I actually had a midwife and then like a trainee, like a doctor, labor doctor trainee or whatever. And so he's the one who actually delivered Maisie. But as I was pushing, Maisie was in there kind of sideways, like so her head wasn't like facing down or whatever, it was like facing to the side, and she did move while she was in the canal. So we think maybe when she moved, she kind of twisted her neck funny, and that's what caused all of the problems. But we don't know for sure. So the doctor, I did probably like 3 pushes with him. I did 1 push and he was like, the head is out. And then I did another push, and so it took like, once she was like nearly there, it took me 2 pushes to get her out. That's in the video. And then once she was out, I wanted to do a delayed cord clamping. That was my plan all along, and I had said that when I went in, and I really wanted to because of the reasoning behind that is that your baby's blood is like in the cord and in your placenta, and it's like shifting through both, and if you let it pulsate all the blood into her, she's getting the blood, like when they clamp it, they're taking off the supply of blood that she could get. So it's like healthier, she could be healthier if it gets all of the blood into her. But they pulled her out, and pretty immediately he said, we're gonna have to clamp. And I was kind of like, what's going on? Like my fear throughout this whole thing was that I was gonna hemorrhage after. And I saw a lot of blood, and I was like, oh my god, it's happening, like I'm hemorrhaging, and I'm freaking out because I don't want to die. I think that's a fear everyone's mind when they're giving birth. And so they clamped it, and it cut her cord. And then I think I bled a little bit, but nothing like substantial. They told me I didn't really bleed that much. They put her immediately up onto me, and she cried immediately. And then the doctor told me that I tore what they said was like some pretty weird 2nd degree tears, which I'm not sure what that meant because I still haven't been back to the doctor because of all the pandemic stuff. I'm not going to have an in-person appointment, so I don't really know like how I tore or anything. I know I had 2nd degree tears. So thankfully I had the epidural because they spent I want to say a really long time, 25-30 minutes stitching me up. I could feel it, but I couldn't like feel the actual pain, but I could feel them like tugging and stuff. When I think about it, it just like so gross. So yeah, after she was born, she was on my chest. They do like the golden hour where the baby's just on you and you don't let that dad hold him until after. So she was on me. I think they got me to latch her for the first time, and then she just laid on me. We did skin to skin, and that's that golden hour. And then they weighed her and everything, and then so when that was all going on, after that, the nurse came in and she was like, okay, it's time to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, I just went through the most traumatic thing in my life. I don't want anyone to touch me. Don't get near my hoo-ha. Don't touch me. And so I had to get up and walk to the bathroom because they wanted me to pee. And I was like, I don't want to pee right now. Like, what? This is awful. And so I was like, all of the adrenaline and everything that had just been going on, I got to the bathroom and I threw up like so much. I threw up so much after, because it was just like, I don't know, I really wish they wouldn't have done that and made me get up right then and said, oh, if you don't pee, you're gonna have to get a catheter. And because I'd been throwing up and I was just like, this is so much, like so much has been going on, and I couldn't pee, so I got a catheter right after that. And I was just like, that's something I really don't like about that whole experience, is that they did that like immediately after, which I understand you have to pee to help or whatever, but like right after I give birth, like give me a break. Like, just don't mess with me, like let me try, don't just stand over me and try to watch me pee. I'm pee shy anyway. So I had a catheter after, and yeah, so I'm gonna cut it off here because I want to talk about my postpartum thing in a whole separate video that's gonna be super in-depth and super detailed. So if you guys want to watch that, so if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please tell me your birth story down below if it's anything like mine. I had a very large baby, so this might be why my postpartum story is a little bit different. But yeah, so if you guys enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I do vlogs with my baby and sit down videos and all kinds of stuff. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.